I'm going to be speaking specifically in this video about the business owners who can control their own wages. They can control their own wages, they can control their own withholding. Hey everyone, so we get this question over and over and over again, okay? Shauna, my CPA is telling me I owe $100,000 to taxes a year, okay, just to make my numbers easy. $100,000 in taxes a year. And my CPA is saying I need to pay quarterly estimates, $25,000 per quarter, make up to $100,000. Okay. That is absolutely one way that you can handle your life, your cash flow, your money, hand it over to the government every quarter. Okay. Another way to do it is withholding. And I'm going to be speaking specifically in this video about the business owners who can control their own wages. They can control their own wages, they can control their own withholding. Now, and there's a third option too, tax planning. So we're going to come to that at the end, okay? But quarterly estimates, every single quarter, you send your check, right? You are basing those quarterly estimates based on how much money you made, right? The estimate of your income and estimate of your taxes based on that income, okay? Now, the downside to quarterly estimates is if you don't pay the quarterly estimate on time, there are penalties and interest for late payment of the quarterly estimate, okay? And if you don't estimate your quarterly estimates correctly, you can pay penalties and interest for not estimating correctly, right? So penalties, interest, typical IRS, penalties, interest everywhere, okay? Now, in my opinion, there's a much better way to do it. And this is what I follow myself for my own company. Okay. There's a much better way to do this, which is if you control your own wages. So I'm an S Corp. Okay. So if you're an S Corp, a C Corp, or if you're in a partnership with wages, which would be a little weird, or Schedule C with wages, again, a little weird, but it can happen. If you have wages and if you are the one in control of those wages, if I know that my federal tax liability is going to be $100,000, I cannot pay quarterly estimates at all. The entire year, I cannot pay them. And I can write myself one payroll check. Now, it must clear. Be very big asterisk, ding, ding, ding. It must clear before December 31st of the year, okay? But I can write myself one big payroll check for the $100,000 worth of federal withholding plus whatever wages or state withholding or whatever else that I want, medical reimbursement programs, whatever else, S Corp, health insurance, all sorts of things that would go in that W-2. But basically, I can send that $100,000 withholding to the federal government before December 31st. It's got to clear and go to the federal government before December 31st. As long as I do that, right? And I suppose, sorry, side tangent, payroll taxes are due whenever payroll taxes are due. So you might write the check and have the check clear December 31st, but payroll taxes may not be due until January 7th or something. So whenever the payroll taxes are due, make sure you pay them, okay? But the big benefit here is that as you're going through the year, if you're sending quarterly estimates, that money is gone, right? You're effectively giving an interest-free loan, right? Just like over withholding as a W-2 employee for somebody else, you're giving an interest-free loan to the government, okay? You're also making estimates, right? It's even in the name. These are estimates. What happens if your taxable income skyrockets? What happens if it tanks? What happens if something terrible happens and it completely tanks? Okay. You've already sent the money. The money is out of your pocket. You no longer have control. You can't call it back, right? What if something really goes bad and you're going to have to get on a payment plan with the IRS because you can't afford to pay the taxes because you needed that money to do something in your business, right? Something happened and you needed that cash. Once you've sent the money with quarterly estimates, the money is gone. So my preferred option number 2, okay, is if you owe taxes, and then we're going to come to option number 3. But option number 2, if you owe taxes, if you've done everything you can doing tax strategy, saving millions of dollars, right? If you've done everything you can and you cannot reduce your taxes past this $100,000 mark, wait and run one payroll check, December 20th, right? Make sure it clears, right? Maybe 15th if you're being conservative. Okay, make sure it clears. The total amount of that check, however much in taxes you're going to owe, should be paid on that amount of the check. The other huge benefit to this, right? You get to hold onto your cash. If there's a problem, you have your money, right? Put it in a savings account, right? Out of sight, out of mind. Put it in a separate savings account. Don't touch it. That is not your money. Okay, that is government money. I actually labeled, if it helps anybody, I labeled my bank account the IRS, because when you put it together, it spells theirs, THEIRS. Their money. It's not your money. But put it in a separate bank account, write that check December 31st. So you get the time with your money. You get to earn all that interest, right? Because it's in a bank account, right? Or money market or whatever you're going to do with it, right? It's going to earn all that interest. You have access to your cash if something goes wrong, okay? Withholding, the reason why you can do this, withholding is looked at as if it was withheld over the entire year. So people paying quarterly estimates are sending in their money, and if they do it wrong, they get penalized. But withholding, you already know what happened during the year. You basically know what your profit is. You basically know what your tax bill is. If your CPA is good and they're running calculations for you right during the year, because you should know what your tax bill is pretty much by like November 15th, pretty much, okay? So have this money, hold it in your bank account, send it to the federal government, okay, December 31st. Just make sure you do it via withholding on a W-2 by December 31st, okay? So I wanted to really explain this because I get this question over and over and over again. Like everybody asks me this question, like, do I have to pay quarterly estimates? No, you don't. You do not have to pay quarterly estimates, not even close. You can do quarterly estimates. That is an option. Some people like it. That's fine. You can do withholding. If you have a W-2 wage, you can do withholding. Or of course, my favorite, number 3, if you have not yet done tax planning, do tax planning. Okay? Don't be paying the government money that you don't have to. So reach out to our team if you are paying $100,000 and you do not have a strategic tax coaching plan to reduce your taxes. So maybe you only owe $10,000, right? Reach out to the team. The sooner the better, guys. The sooner the better. As I said, I'm filming this. Today is June 18th of 2023. Don't be paying quarterly estimates that you don't have to. Okay, don't be sending the government money when you don't have to. Run a tax plan. The summertime is the perfect time to be running a tax plan because that means we still have at this point 5.5 months, 6 months before we get to the end of the year. Lots of time to implement strategies. And I'm going to say this right now, if you wait to reach out to the team until like December 1st, we may or may not be able to help you in this year. Okay, that is just not enough bandwidth. It's not enough landing strip for us to be able to do a proper job. We might be able to get you 1 or 2 things, okay? But to really, really, really do a proper job, it's really hard to do. The more time we have, the better. So if you're even considering talking to the team and I, helping get yourself these millions of dollars back in your pocket, I would suggest you reach out sooner rather than later. So have a wonderful day, y'all. And if you have any questions on my 3 options, so quarterly estimates, federal withholding, federal or state withholding, so it works for the state too. You don't have to pay quarterly estimates there either. So withholding, or of course, my favorite, tax planning. So let me and the team know if you have any questions. All right, I look forward to meeting you or speaking with you or whatever soon. All right, bye.